seated kneeling is not comfortable for you, feel free to sit up on a yoga block and prop it on top of your heels. You can sit in a seated position and stay there, or you can have a seat on a couch or a chair, whatever you need to. Okay, make sure the position doesn't cause pain, and that goes for anything today, right? Starting off with our wrist guards, guys, remember the cueing here is imagine the cell phone on the forearm. If the elbow were to rotate, the phone would fall and break, and we'd all be very sad. So we want to make sure the forearms stay glued to the ceiling. 2 karate chop hands, guys. We'll do 3 reps in each direction. Nice straight fingers, adduct fingertips towards one another. Slowly squeeze knuckles towards forearms into extension. Every last inch of motion. Abduct fingertips away and flex fingertips to the sky. For most of us, guys, going through abduction kind of right here as I start scraping out from extension into flexion, this is where we start seeing elbows and fingers compensate a lot. So really emphasize that portion. Right through extension, abduction, and then scrape into flexion, keep the motion small. Got our third, let's rewind from flexion, abduct, out, extend down, adduct in, and flex up. Nice and slow, remember always assessing our cars. What you feel may not be what I feel, right? But listen to your body, it's trying to tell you what it needs, okay? Done our 3, guys, grab onto your yoga block. Again, if the position's not comfortable, feel free to switch around as needed. Seated is fine on a chair or couch, but hug onto your yoga block just below your chest. We're gonna do 2 slow thoracic spine cars in each position with a good bit of tension on the block. So irradiating about 50% of tension, guys. Squeeze your glutes, squeeze your core, your quads, crush that yoga block into your chest, and begin segmentally flexing the spine, trying to stick every single vertebrae into your shirt as if you were a dinosaur trying to show your spines. So max out flexion. Now rotate, turn your chest right. Make sure you lead with your sternum, not your eyes. Once you've maxed out rotation, laterally bend, drop your shoulder down, and then peel, showing sternum to the sky. From extension, you'll turn left, maxing out rotation, leading with the chest, then laterally bend, round through. Again, try and get as much flexion throughout that whole spine as you can. And then continue right into rep 2, rotating right, laterally bending, extending to the sky. Again, lead with the chest, not the eyes, guys. Rotating left, dropping the shoulder down, rounding through. From rotation this time we'll go left, turn the sternum. Again, not your eyes leading, but rotate, drop that shoulder, and peel to the sky. Continue, but this time we rotate right, laterally flex, and round through. Just so you've seen it, guys, let me show you this last rep facing forward. We flex down, rotate, we laterally bend, we extend, we rotate the opposite direction. Notice, guys, I rotate first, then I laterally bend, and then I round through. Okay? So guys, realize how slow thoracic spine cars are, especially at first. First start practicing, all about motor control. Slow the reps down, use your tension, use your breathing, don't push into pain, okay? Next, guys, we're gonna do our scapula. We're gonna come up to a half kneel here. I've got my tennis ball. What I'm gonna do, guys, I'm gonna have the tennis ball glued to my thigh. I'm gonna show you from the side, but I just want you to see where it is. Right in my hand, got my elbow locked, okay? So when I do my scapula car like this, the ball itself is gonna draw a little circle, right? So we're using the tennis ball to limit how far the arm is going to move. We want this to be about the shoulder blade, not about the actual arm, okay? So good degree of tension, front leg stomping the floor. Again, maybe 50% throughout the body, lock those triceps. Squeeze that tennis ball into your hip and gently protract forward. Elevate up. Retract back. Depress down. Usually, guys, retraction into depression is the limiting factor for most. So protract, elevate, squeeze those shoulder blades. Try not to arch your back. Depress down. Don't bend that elbow. One more, guys. Protract, elevate, retract, and depress. This time, freeze and scapular depression will reverse. So retract back, elevate up, protract forward, and depress down. Depression into retraction, retraction into elevation, elevation into protraction, back into depression. Last one. So as you go, guys, you should notice a good degree of tension throughout the lat and maybe the tricep. We want to feel this stuff, okay? If you're not, you could regress, you can forget the tennis ball and just work on getting the motion, but take your time, nice and slow. Flipping sides, same thing. Squeeze that tennis ball into the thigh, stomp the hand into the front leg, tension through your legs. Let's go the opposite direction on this side. Deep press down, retract back, elevate up, protract forward. Don't go too far and drop the tennis ball, guys. Depression into retraction, retraction into elevation, elevation to protraction, back down. Pinch, reach up, reach forward, and let's freeze there and reverse it. So from elevation and protraction, retract, depress, and then protract and elevate. So as I finish this last rep, guys, really common, when I cue people here, I often see glenohumeral joints start to internally rotate as we go protraction. So notice here, are you doing this? Okay, does that keep happening? But you see your glenohumeral start rotating as you try and actually move the scap, okay? If you do, here's a drill to work on. So back to our low kneel. Again, seating, cross-legged, wherever you need to be if low kneel is not comfy. Guys, shoulder axial rotations is the ability to work on just external and internal rotations. As I do these, please watch my arm, kind of right where my t-shirt is. And what you'll notice is as I start internally rotating, my bicep turns first, but you'll see the actual humerus, the actual arm bone rotates, okay? That's internal rotation. Then my elbow pronates to follow. So it's not this. Really common, guys, I see shoulder cars or shoulder axials. It's that. It's just kind of cranking on the bicep and the elbow tendon. So we got to really engage tension and exaggerate trying to turn our bicep in and then our tricep in. Okay, so nice and slow. If you want some tension, you can grab your yoga block, kind of hug it into your belly. I just want 5 of these. If this causes any pain, just try a different angle, maybe a little lower. Just nice and slow. Tension on the ball, externally rotate. Roll the bicep to the sky, the thumb back, then internally rotate, try and roll the bicep in and the armpit out. Notice the knuckles now show forward, okay? So let's get 2 more. Nice and slow. Working on disassociating our shoulder joint from neighboring joints, making sure it's not an elbow motion, not a scapular motion, but a glenohumeral motion, okay? It's 5, switching sides. So tension on the block, squeeze that ball, internally rotate, turn that bicep, guys. Knuckles follow, externally rotate. Show the bicep to the ceiling, flip the thumb back, pinky forward. Again, if there's pain, regress. You can go a little lower. Usually it's a bit easier down towards the hip, a little bit harder as you go up towards the ear. Okay, nice and slow, guys, just getting 5. Could feel a lot of different stuff here. As I internally rotate, I feel some pecs and bicep and some shoulder. As I externally rotate, I feel some posterior delt, some scap, and some tricep. Okay, nice and slow. Get that 5th. And now we're going to move on, guys, to a sideline position for some hips. So I really like the sideline position for hip cars, guys. I find it's a great one to work on. So what we're going to do today, take your tennis ball behind your top knee, squeeze that ball. That's going to help you use your short range hamstring and high calf, so your knee flexors. which is going to help us disassociate hip motion from knee motion, okay? So again, we irradiate tension from neighboring joints to make sure we don't cheat. So nice degree of tension on that ball, flex the hip, knee to chest, open the hip, drive knee and foot out as far as you can that you don't lose contact. Internally rotate, hard part, heel back, knee stays up high. Extend, pulling thigh behind you and down towards the floor. Get 4 slow reps, guys. Flexion. Open the hip, drive that thigh out, squeeze your front knee down, internally rotate, and extend. Use your breathing, guys. Make sure you're not holding your breath. Typically an exhale during the hard part, for most of you probably right here. Try and smooth out those sticky spots. Rep 4 and final. Okay, guys, the next drill, take your tennis ball right in between your thighs. This is so you keep some active adduction and to give you a little bit of room here. So what I want, guys, is actually some tibia rotations, some knee rotations. If this is uncomfortable with the ball, you can also just use your fist here. But all I want, try and maximally turn your foot out. Here, if you look at my shin, you'll see my tibia actually turns out. Now go the other way. Try and go big toe down towards the floor, and you'll see my tibia actually turns in. So knee rotation, guys, tibia rotation is a big one. The ability to disassociate rotation happening at our hip and rotation happening at our knee. Big deal. It's one of my favorite drills. Just get 5 reps for me. You should get a nice degree of tension through your shin, maybe your high calf. But try and really exaggerate. Turn that foot out as far as you can. Turn that foot in as far as you can. For most, tibia IR, much more limited, so turning the foot in. Very nice. While we're here, I want to get a little more specific work for both hips. So grab one of your blocks, put it between your knees. Hip internal rotation, guys, the part of the car you just did where you had to pull your heel up, usually the hard part for most. Okay, hip IR limits most people. One big reason is you need active adduction. So to work on this top leg's hip IR, yoga block between the knees, actively adduct and squeeze it to get that groin and inner thigh tissue awake. Squeeze your foot up to dorsiflexion and then internally rotate, pulling your heel up as high as you can before motion starts happening to your back or funkiness at your knee. Okay? Going 10 reps, guys. Squeeze that yoga block, pull your heel up. Slow on the way down. Okay? As you exhale, pull that foot up. You should hopefully get kind of TFL and high lateral hip stuff. That's what we want to feel here. If it bothers your knee, fool around with kind of that tibia position. Again, doesn't matter where the foot position is when you start, it matters if it changes. So I don't want to see that foot position change during the movement. Let's get 2 more. Last one here. While we're on this side, guys, I want to get 1 drill for this bottom leg. So, I know we haven't done our hip carves for this leg yet. I'm just going to wake up some hip external rotation, realizing on this side it might be a little limited because we haven't done our
I'm doing my Kinstretch class.
Good side plank alignment. My elbow's a little bit past my shoulder. I'm driving through that elbow. Got some irradiation through my obliques. Leg is nice in a straight line. I want you to actively press your knee down into the floor as if there was something under you trying to crush into the ground. Okay? Keeping that tension, pull your heel up as high as you can, but stop before you lose alignment. I don't want to see that. Okay, nice and slow. Same idea. Give me 10 reps. If you want, take a hand right under there, squeeze the hand, pull up high. So we just did a specific drill for hip IR. Now we're doing a specific drill for hip.
Do whatever you want, babe. I'm going to be here and then I'm going to go to the university.
I like to think of both of these as kind of warm-ups before we do 90-90 work.
All right.
Today we're using it as kind of a warm-up before we do tails and rails before we do 90-90. So Lots of hip capsule today, guys. Hip should be feeling it tomorrow. 2 more. Last one. Flipping over to the other side. Grab that ball and block, we'll need it in a moment. Back in our Baywatch position, got the head supported, tennis ball behind our knee. Hip cars first, guys. Good squeeze on the ball. Good strong dorsiflexion. Flex the hip. Drive that hip up. Front knee stays on the floor. Internally rotate. Heel pulls back. Extend the thigh behind you. Knee falls to the ground. Take your time. Not a matter of how big the hip car is, guys. Much more a matter of everything else still. Front knee on the ground. Back's not changing alignment. But I'm dissociating motion from my hip from motion anywhere else. This last rep, really start assessing which part of the motion limits you. Is it IR? Is it ER? Is it extension? Okay, we're all different human beings. We gotta learn to listen to our bodies to make progress. Got our 4th. Getting those tibia reps. You can use the 5th as we did before. Let the heel step forward. Let that toe squeeze down. Turn the heel out, tibia IR. Turn the foot out as far as you can, tibia ER. So trying to turn my heel outside of my knee. And now trying to turn my big toe outside of my knee. Takes practice, guys. Take your time. It should get some funky tension for me. I feel my high calf, my shin. If you guys do this and you notice no motion happening, that probably says a lot about your knee health. Want to prioritize rotation. Okay? If our knees can't rotate, what happens when we step in a hole or we get forced into bad positions? Not good things. Hip IR next, guys. Active squeeze, adduct down, internally rotate, pull that heel up high, lower controlled. Guys, if you run into any pinch in the front of your hip, often means you're a little too far in hip flexion. So back a little bit away, knees less far towards the chest. You can work from there. We shouldn't be getting front of the hip here. We should be getting like right there, high lateral hip. 10 reps, guys. Again, fool around with foot position. But make sure you actively crush this yoga block down into the opposite thigh. Very nice. Moving on. We come into that modified side plank. Nice straight line with that leg. Proud chest, tension to the elbow and the obliques. Actively pressing the knee down into the floor. Externally rotate and pull that heel up high. Could care less how high the foot gets, guys. I do care if I see your spine start helping. If you need to, you can hold the knee down, or you can go hand underneath and actively squeeze it. Make sure they're not just slamming to the ground, guys. Deceleration matters too. Slow on the way down. Last rep. And guys, we are moving on to some pails and rails for our hip. So guys, what we're gonna do right now are 2 of my favorite regressions for 90-90, okay? These are not necessarily regressions in that they're easy, they're just simple. So for many people, 90-90 is complicated, especially at first. Now that we're laying on our back, it's really easy to figure out what the heck hip internal and external rotation actually is. We're gonna first work on hip IR and ER of the right leg, and we'll flip around IR, then ER of the left leg, okay? For hip internal rotation, guys, this drill is called the supine, laying on your back, hip sleeper stretch. The hip sleeper stretch is this. I'm gonna step my foot slightly outside of my knee. I'm gonna pick the opposite foot up and then use the weight of my top leg to bias my right thigh into hip internal rotation, letting my thigh pull towards the floor. I know I went too far if I lose full contact from the ground, because now this is a spinal twist, okay? We have to disassociate spine from hip. My glutes on the ground, I'm pulling my thigh towards the floor. If you look at my hip, you can easily see knees past hip internal rotation, okay? So take a moment, find this position. If you need a reminder, just keep your hand here. But just get a big breath in and out. If you see my outer foot, guys, notice my foot's picked up. Okay, don't worry about keeping your foot flat. If this bugs your knee, fool around with your foot placement. Big breath in and out, guys. So pails and rails are how we strengthen weak points. So I'm in a weak point, passive hip internal rotation. I'm going to strengthen the ability to push out of the stretch. That's pails. So pails effort, guys. Very gently start driving your thigh out into your foot. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to externally rotate out of the stretch. Immediately, I feel my lateral hip, that TFL stuff, start working. It's an isometric, that's the I. So I'm just fighting my foot. We're gonna go for 30 seconds. Every 5 seconds, push a little bit harder. Imagine you're at 10% effort, working to 30%. 30% effort to 50%. Slowly controlling ramping intensities. But get to a 60% effort, and I want you to stay there for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, guys, I want you to try and squeeze your inner thigh, the other side of your hip, and try and lift away. Try and pull your right foot away from your heel and hold there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the foot land. Melt into the stretch, let your tension relax, and it's going to be one big breath. Coming out of the stretch, guys. So what we just did, we found our passive stretch. That's how much flexibility I have in hip IR. I use the weight of my other leg to get a little bit past it. I try and strengthen with an isometric, pushing back into my foot to teach my outer hip stuff how to work in this position. Then we did a lift off, teaching the other side of the joint to be strong to pull away. So we're trying to basically turn a passive stretch into an active strengthening position. Cool? Tails and rails, quick demo. So for external rotation, guys, we're going to do a basic figure 4 stretch. So take your right foot up, drop it right on that left thigh. 2 options here. If you feel, guys, a stretch in your outer glute, if you just press into your thigh like this, and this is fine. You just go right in this position. If you don't, then grab onto that thigh and come into that stretch. And then you can even use your hand, or you can use your elbow and just pry that thigh open into external rotation. Cool? Either position is fine, guys. It just matters that you feel your outer hip in a stretch. Take a moment, big breath in and out. Starting very gentle. Your pails effort this time is going to be pressing your foot and knee forward into your thigh. And immediately you'll feel your glute engage. Same idea, 30-second rep, trying to increase intensity every 5 seconds. Ramping tension from 10% towards 30%. Push a little harder. Up to 40 and 50%. Fight that thigh, guys. Up to 60 and hold there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hands find the floor, hold strong. This time, guys, solidify tension in this outer hip. You're going to back this left thigh away and try and hold foot towards chest. Hold at whatever angle you need to. Set back down. And do that 2 more times. So solidify tension. This is a passive range hold. You're in a passive stretch. You're trying to teach it to be active. Back away, hold. 3, 2, 1. Last rep, guys. Yes, this should be tough. It should be very challenging. If you're here, guys, you're in this position. Instead, you can work on lifting off. Last one, back away, try and hold. And relax down. Give me 1 breath. So, guys, same idea. Pails effort. You're trying to press out of the stretch, strengthening the stretch tissue. Rails effort, or a lift off or a hold, you're trying to strengthen the regressive tissue, the other side of the joint, here, the inner thigh. Cool? So if pails and rails is a little confusing right now, that's okay. We've got another example coming up in about 5 minutes. So now for the left hip, working on internal rotation first, foot steps outside knee. Right foot picks up. Using the weight of that thigh, pull your hip down into internal rotation. Same idea, don't make it a spinal twist. Keep that hip on the floor. If you need to change foot position, that's fine. If you need a reminder, that's also fine. 1 nice breath. build up a radiation throughout the body, squeeze the glutes. Gently start pressing your thigh out into your foot, trying to externally rotate out of the stretch. I feel my high lateral hip engaging, fighting up, ramping intensity from 10% towards 30, trying to hit each percentage point. It's a slow ramp, guys. I think 21%, 22, a little harder, 23. Once you get to 30, start ramping to 40, to 50. You're still pressing out, guys. To 60 and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2. Your rails effort, your lift off, guys. Squeeze your inner thigh, pull your thigh away from your foot and try and squeeze actively towards the ground. Hold there. 3, 2, 1. Drop the top foot down. Just one nice breath to tie it all in. Right into our figure 4. Again, guys, this is fine. If you feel a nice stretch in your glute in this position, just helping open that thigh with your hand, no reason to come out of it. Tails effort, you're pushing down. That rails passive range hold or lift off, you're going to try and pull your foot away. Okay? If you want more, again, we're here. Pull yourself into a stretch, big breath in and out. Radiating tension, start your gentle tails effort. Make sure we don't start at high tension, guys. Start low, 10%. I'm pushing into my thigh, building up in tension. I'm at 15%, 20, 25, 30. A little harder, guys. Getting to 60% and stay there. Squeeze the glute and push. 40, 45. 60% effort, stay there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done your tails effort, hands to the floor, start backing the top leg away and try and hold strong. Get 3 reps in that passive stretch, squeeze inner thigh stuff, hold strong. Got one more, guys. If that's too much for you, you're here, you're trying to lift away. Either way, get that 3rd rep. And then we're done in this supine position, guys. So please realize, first class, we gotta go a little slow. A lot of nuanced detail in Kinstretch and FRC, guys. Trying to really take the time in this first class and make sure we get hip capsule, tails, and rails, because it's something we'll do most classes, probably every rotation class for sure. So guys, the reason hip capsule and shoulder capsule rotation is so important is about workspace. There's more to come about this. Next week's homework's all about workspace. But it's basically, the more ability you have to internally and externally rotate your hips and shoulders, the more available range of motion you have compensation free. So let's say you're working on a deep squat. When you squat, your butt tucks under like a butt wink. That's showing that when you run out of hip flexion mobility, your spine is now helping. It's a compensation of a neighboring joint. The way we fix the butt wink isn't necessarily just to get you more hip flexion. You got to get more hip rotation first. More hip IR, more hip ER. All of a sudden, the hip has more rotational capacity, more workspace. It now has more flexion. Okay, it's almost a little strange to think about at first, but basically, the better 3-dimensional movement a hip or a shoulder has, the better linear movement it has. So these rotation classes, guys, hip ER and hip IR first, so important, especially here in the beginning. If you're that person with a pinch in your hip or lower back issues, hip rotation, okay? So those supine drills we just did, and then we can work out of 90-90. So this 90-90 position, if you've never worked in it before, one, it can be hard. It requires a lot of stuff just to be here. So if sitting up, guys, without your hands like this is too much and you feel like your back, rib cage, and all this stuff needs to cramp, usually means the position's too hard for you. So we regress today, option 1. Yoga block right under your front butt cheek. Magic. I can now sit here. I'm no longer limited by the trail leg. I can then get into a stretch for my front leg. Okay? So for tails and rails for the lead leg, you can use this regression. For the trail leg, when we do our tails and rails, I would just suggest posting up more. Okay? Another question that I get asked commonly is, where should this hip be? Is this okay? Is this okay? To me, the goal, guys, is hip and knee in a straight line. Perfect 90-degree angle. Now, if you don't feel a stretch when you sit into this, you can let the hips sit back a little. For many people, that's going to help you wind into hip internal rotation a little more. The only thing I would say is if you currently have a lower back thing going on, I wouldn't do that. It's now a little bit of lumbar rotation, a little bit of pelvis turn. Could put pressure on the back. Okay, so if you have a back thing going on here, if not, this is fine. Cool. Either way, guys, we're in this position. I need one hand on your outer thigh, as much weight posted up as you need to. Okay? Our Pale's effort, just like the one we just did lying on your back, this is now the 90-90 hip sleeper, is you trying to externally rotate out of the stretch. So I'm thinking heavy on my foot and try and open my knee. The eye in Pales and rails is always isometric. No movement happening, the intention. So squeeze the glute, start gently pressing your thigh up into your hand, trying to externally rotate out of the position. You should immediately feel here. Okay, now if you don't fool around with it, but the same idea, I want 30 seconds of progressively pushing up into your hand a little harder, 5% to 10%, 10 to 15. Keep it steady, guys. Squeeze your butt and push up. This is all about mind control. Drive up into your hand, 40%, 45, 50, 60. This should get tough. Hold there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let the thigh actively squeeze into the floor. We're going to try and do a hip internal rotation liftoff. To make sure you don't cheat, guys, today I want you to turn your chest away. Easier is hand on the ground. A little bit harder is hand on the knee. Either way, squeeze your back thigh into the ground with your glute and your adductors, and then lift your heel up. Actively internally rotate. Okay, if that's too easy, this would be a little harder. 5 good reps, guys. Nothing else is moving. It's a small motion. If you're moving really far, it's probably not just your hip. Okay, squeeze your butt, pull up. It's not a back, it's not a spinal twist. It is a hip dominant movement. Rep 5, relax. Now, I'm gonna hit the front leg next. I'm gonna show you from the front. As I said, the regression here is to sit up on a block. If you need to sit up on a block, that's fine. Make sure you have weight on your hands. For me, I like to go hands forward towards the front leg. One hand's about 6 inches out. One hand's right behind my front heel. To feel a stretch in my outer glute of this front leg, guys, we need to bow the stretch. The way we cue that, again, is just conceptual at first. Take your belly button and try and pull it forward to your knee. Reach your belly button forward. That should help you buy some lumbar extension. You can think about taking your pelvis and trying to tilt it to the sky. Okay, so anterior tilt in the lumbar spine, anterior tilt of the pelvis, extension of the lumbar spine. Now try and take your front hip and reach it slightly outside and back. Very slight, but I'm reaching my pelvis in that direction. Okay, lumbar extension, belly pulled forward, pelvis tilted toward the sky, and I'm bowing the stretch. I immediately get a nice stretch in my butt, right in the outer glute. If you don't, again, prop yourself up. Pale's effort here, guys. We're going to start driving our knee down into the floor. The cue is there's a scary spider or your least favorite insect underneath your knee, whatever you really don't like. If you don't like frogs, it's a frog. If you don't like spiders, it's a spider. You're going to slowly, tortuously start trying to kill whatever thing is underneath your knee. If you are, guys, very into animals, I'm sorry. Pretend it is not an animal. Pretend it is something you don't like. Okay? Put something under your knee. Slowly start driving it through the floor. 10%. Find 15%. Control your tension, guys. 20, 30, 35. Press down. It should get tough. 40. My glute is working. 50, 60. Hold there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to do, guys, a passive range liftoff. Try and solidify tension with your inner thigh as if you were trying to pull your foot and knee up. So you're trying to lift off the ground. Now, with your hands, rock your body weight back until you can actively pick your foot and knee up and hold. Set down soft. Repeat. I'm going to show you that from the side. So we just did our Pale's effort, strengthening, driving the knee through the floor. Now I'm trying to lift inner thigh, trying to keep my knee and foot as flat as possible. And I'm rocking my body weight back. To regress here, guys, lean back and bend your elbows. Okay, but we want to teach the inner thigh to be involved here. So, got our fourth, got our back leg already. Last drill for the back leg, guys, and then we're going to transfer to the other side. Repeat. So 90-90, guys, is kind of our first case thus far of a Kinstretch base position. But as we get into our more advanced classes, basically we work in a base position, challenge a bunch of options on individual, joint movements, and then we transition to a new position and continue. Okay? Cars warm-up's always a little bit slow and different, but that's where we're moving towards. Back leg challenge, guys. We're going to work on the bear sit transfer. I'm going to break it down into two separate movements. The first one is the bear sit hinge. I love this to work on actually knee motion, ankle motion, and hip motion all at once. Solidify tension in your front leg. Your knee is going to stay on the floor this whole time. It's not going to pick up. That scary monster is still under your knee. You're trying to kill it. Okay, hold that thing and don't let it breathe. Now, maintaining that tension, guys. If this doesn't bother your knee, plantar flexing and then lifting your heel, please do so. If it does, forget that. Instead, dorsiflex and lift the big toe. Either way, squeeze your butt. You're going to start externally rotating, driving your knee outside of your foot. If you're here, you're going to pivot from your big toe towards your second. If you're here, you're just going to open. Okay? But driving up, guys, either way, as you pull that thigh towards you, I want you to pull your heel forward as if you're getting your heel in front of your shin, swiveling the heel through. My knee's still on the ground. The rep ends, guys, when this knee picks up. Okay, max out that motion. Now, initiate by pulling your heel outside of your shin and squeeze back down. Guys, we're teaching our hip to rotate with our knee, teaching joints to work together. Squeeze that knee down, drive up, externally rotate, pivot. Big toe finds second, find third, swivel your heel through. Can you get your foot flat before the knee picks up? Squeezing back, nice and slow. Regression here, guys, if it's too much and it's causing any kind of issues on the low back, you can come down to your elbow. You can work from there. Remember, it is not any kind of contest. I don't care how far the rep is. I care how strict it is. So fourth rep, guys, just continue the motion. Open the hip and just keep going. This knee will pick up. Hands are going to switch. We'll wind up in the bear sit position. Not going to stay here, but eventually we'll do a lot of work from here. In the back leg, pivot through that heel again. Start trying to squeeze your inner thigh down, internally rotating. Externally rotate the lead leg. Now we're 90-90 facing the opposite direction. So same idea as before, guys. Tails and rails for the trail leg, then the lead leg. Internal rotation first. Can be here, can be here. If you need to regress, please do so. Easiest way here might be propping yourself up with a pillow. If you can't reach your thigh, guys, a light weight of some kind, put something on your knee that you can actually push into, or you don't need your hand, okay? So big breath in and out. Starting gentle, your Pale's effort, you're externally rotating, getting heavier in your heel, trying to open up into your hand. Drive up, guys. 5% finds 10%. Control every percentage point. 15 finds 20. Push a little harder. 25 finds 30. Try and push that hand away. 40, 45, 55, 60. Stay there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Actively squeeze down into the floor. If you want it to be easier, step away. Keeping that active adduction, internally rotate. Lift that heel high. Too easy, you can stay here. Either way, I want 5 reps, guys. It's just internal rotation. If you watch my hip, my femur actually turns in. Simple, right? This is not your femur. That is your spine, guys. Smaller rep than you think. Be honest with your hip range of motion. Too many people cheat when we do this stuff. Got our trail leg. Let's challenge our lead leg. I'll show you from the front again. As we showed before, to regress, you're sitting up on a block or a pillow and you're over that front leg. Okay? Here, guys, bowing is key. Belly button reaches forward. Pelvis tilts towards sky. Hip is trying to reach outside of the knee. Okay? One more time. Belly button forward. Pelvis tilting. Anterior pelvic tilt. Lumbar extension. Reach your glute outside of your knee. That's you trying to bow into external rotation. Solidify tension. Gently start driving your knee down. If you didn't, if you had a spider under there before, it's now a new object. Okay? Something you don't like if you don't want to hurt animals. I'm sorry if this offends anyone. I apologize. Drive the knee down, guys. Slowly ramping up, 5 to 10%. 10 to 20%, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 45 to 50, steady contraction, 55, 60, hold there, 5, 4, 3, 2, think inner thigh, guys, using the hands, press back, lift that foot and knee and hold strong, soft landing. If you can keep, guys, your foot in a flat line with your knee, that's awesome. You can tell for me, I'm struggling. My heel wants to lag. I have to actively pull up with my heel. Getting 2 more. All right, guys. So that was your first taste of tails and rails in 90-90. We will do those until they get really hard. That was a little bit easy and only 1 round today. Got to get our trail leg bear sit hinges. Again, we can be here or we can be here, whichever one doesn't bug your knee. Nice and tall. Glue that front knee to the floor, guys. Externally rotate, pivot that heel, try and pull, swiveling the heel through. Max out that motion. How much do you have before the knee has to pick up? And then swivel that heel the opposite way. Guys, if you're working against the lower back, go small in these. I'd rather see you be here than let that low back kind of follow, okay? Basically, if the low back's concerned, we want really strict hip motion, not too much low back rotation with the hips yet, okay? Drive up, squeeze, 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 front knees down, max out the motion, pulling back down. 4th rep, we'll continue to the other side. So drive up, drive, 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 drive. As we need to, let the knee pick up, but knees fight to stay away from one another. Hand switch. Right thigh starts internally rotating. Left thigh follows through. Okay, guys, so we're done our first 90-90 series. We've got a lot to come of those, don't you worry. Next, when it comes to a prone position, laying on our belly, we're going to get a bunch of stuff for our shoulders. You're going to need 1 ball and 1 block, guys. That's it. The block you won't need right away, so have it nearby. The ball you will. So you're going to come down to a prone position, guys, with your head supported on your hands. Bring that tennis ball right out to the side, and I want to work on that same axial we actually did in the beginning, but now prone. Okay, so if you remember, we worked on trying to retract the scapula, tried to lift up, then we tried to internally rotate, turning the bicep in, showing the knuckles forward, and then we tried to externally rotate, turning the knuckles down, the tennis ball to the sky, and the tricep in. Okay, nice and slow. Just give me 5 reps. Really trying to carve out workspace, same concept as we talked about for your hip, but now for your shoulder. Turn back, turn in. Try not to let it be all elbow. Take your time. Squeeze that ball. Again, guys, if you need to regress, it's bugging something, you can try it here. Typically a bit easier towards the hip, a little bit harder as we get overhead. So we got 5. Next challenge, guys, is the beginning of what's called a swimmer hover. So what I want you to do is from this position, lift up as high as you can, bend your elbow, and then set down on your low back as soon as you need to. Stop before it's uncomfortable. So for me, like right about here, if I go any further, I feel a little bit of strain on the front of my shoulder. So that's where I'm at. What we're going to do, guys, is try and lift the tennis ball and elbow away at the same time. So retract the scapula, squeeze the ball, try and tuck the pelvis into the floor with a big breath in and out. Try and lift elbow and hand, and hold. 3, 2, 1. Set down soft, and forward close. One more coming up, guys. If you need to regress, here's fine. Very nice. last one for this side, guys. Come into this position, and this is a good way to work on external rotation of the shoulders. So here, big thing, don't let that shoulder just hang out. Squeeze that scapula, retract, squeeze that ball, pull the knuckles as high as you can towards the sky, maintaining elbow position, lower nice and slow. The hand doesn't get to the floor, guys, that's okay. Try not to let it be a wrist drill. Take your time, just 4 reps. Notice how slow they are, nothing else is moving, just my shoulder. And slowing the way down. So guys, next week in our rotation focus class, we'll do pails and oils for the shoulder capsule and challenge the hip capsule, kind of the opposite of this route. So for the shoulder challenges, we've got these axials first. Squeeze that ball, retract the scapula, lift up, actively internally rotate, and actively externally rotate. Try and notice where the weak points are. For me, IR is easy. ER very limited. Always be assessing, guys. We've got 5 reps. Here's 4. And 5. Really meditate on the tricep and bicep leading the way. Trying to actually move the humerus, guys, not just the wrist. So, same drills before, lift up, bend the elbow. How far can you set down? So just notice, guys, for me, this is a strength on this side. IR is good. On the other side, I was all the way down here, okay? But on this side, ER, limited. Opposites are very normal. Make sure you're noticing. So find the position, big breath in and out. Radiating tension, pelvis tucked, scapula engaged. Lift up. Strong and soft. Got 4 reps, guys. Try not to let that shoulder dump forward. That scap and shoulder moving together. Try and glue that scapula back as best you can. 3-second hold. Soft landing. Americana lift-offs next, guys. So same idea. On this side for me, this is my weak point. Opposite on the right side. Lift up. That's all I got on this side without compensating with my wrist. It's okay. Small, strict reps, guys. 3-second hold at the top. Control on the way down. Last one. Very nice, guys. So today, that was it for the shoulders. To finish up, guys, we got one more drill for our hips. Well, technically 2 more drills. And then 1 drill for our knees. So next, guys, we're going to come down into the frog stretch. So if you've never done the frog before, it looks like this. But both legs are spread wide. Both legs look like my right. If you want it to be a little more nasty, you can shift your hips back, but make sure you only go as deep into the stretch as you can keep a slight anterior pelvic tilt. You don't want to go too far in there. Okay, so find a slight anterior pelvic tilt. Feet are turned out, ankles are squeezed towards shins. Sink into a comfy stretch, don't go too far. Then I want to repeat that breath series we did in the beginning, okay? This time just 3 breaths of each. Soft breath in and out, into the nose, out through the mouth, 4 by 8 count. With each breath in, feel the ribcage expand and blow up like a balloon into the armpits. Each breath out, ribcage pulls down and let yourself sink into the stretch. Next, guys, 3 maximal expansive breaths. Same thing. The big in and big out. I'm just looking up so I don't blow right into the mic. You can keep your eyes down. Each inhale, more air into the rib cage. Each exhale, sink a little bit deeper. Now, guys, 3 maximal inhales, relaxed exhales. The opposite, 3 long exhales and relaxed inhales. So guys, we just did this breathing, and you probably have found yourself deeper into this frog stretch than you've been before. So take a moment, solidify tension, squeeze your ankles towards your shins, squeeze your butt, squeeze your core and glutes. If you feel this is very intense, back up a little out of the stretch. But from here, guys, we're going to do pails and rails for our adductors and our abductors, our inner thighs and our outer hips. For adduction pails and rails, we're in our deepest stretch that's pain-free. We're going to gently start squeezing our knees and heels into the floor, trying to squeeze the floor together, okay? Start squeezing down, you'll immediately start feeling inner thighs working. Same idea, ramp up your intensity from 0 towards 60, slowly building up, 5, 10, control your effort, guys, control yourself. It's all about that mental control here, 25 and 30, 35 and 40. This should get intense, guys. Keep squeezing. 50, 55, 60. Hold there. 5, 4, 3, 2. Abduction rails. Squeeze your glutes and try and pull your knees away from one another. Slide the knees wider into the floor and try and pull your inner thighs towards the ground. Pull, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax into the stretch. Slowly come out. Okay, guys, to finish up, we're actually going to do a little bit of tibia work, a little bit of knee rotation. So what we did earlier, guys, we worked on that tibia rotation from sideline, but basically what we did is we tried to work on turning the shin in and turning the shin out. Oftentimes when I work 90-90 or the frog with people in the beginning, they talk a lot about tension on their knee. Most times, guys, hips are limited and knees are trying to rotate, so the knee's trying to turn.
Good birdies.
So first of all, how you get past that, hips improve. So as you see progress in your hip mobility, a lot of that will go away. But for now, if that's you and you're getting medial knee tension, as we do our trail leg in 90-90, or when we just did the frog, it means probably when you work this tibia drill, you're going to see it's pretty limited. The knee doesn't have much. So there's 3 options I like to work it. You can either hold the sides of the thigh like this, or you can kind of grab your femur and make sure it's not a hip motion, okay? But option 1 is dorsiflex, and you just turn your foot out and you turn your foot in. For many of us, we'll only feel our shin, and we won't get any posterior calf stuff, which we want. So if that doesn't work for you, try flat forefoot. Try and glue your forefoot to the floor, and then try and drag your heel outside of your pinky toe, and then your heel inside of your big toe. You may get way more calf contraction. If it cramps a little, that is very normal, okay? Either way, just try one of those 2. Let's give you those 2 options today. Give me about 5, but just get some motion in the knee, okay? You should find a lot of blood flow. So get those 5, switch sides, same thing. Holding on to the femur, you can try a dorsiflex, you can try a flat foot, just try and make sure the forefoot isn't moving too much. As you finish with those 5, let me just chat for a second, guys, but that's the end of our first class. You know, this is something that'll get a lot faster as we continue to go. We went pretty slow today. I wanted to really bring attention to that idea of pails and rails for the hips. Hip internal and external rotation, guys, it's amazing how many differences things are going to improve. Your squat's going to get better, your deadlifts, almost any yoga pose I can think of. But so many things, guys, are going to stop limiting you as your hip and shoulder rotation improves. So these first few weeks, really important that we get hip and shoulder rotation at least decent quickly. So take your time getting through that. Make sure you give it the respect it deserves. next week, our next rotation class is going to work on shoulders. Cool. Coming up in our linear